Hello guys, today we're going to be learning the basics of Fortnite creative mode. Get ready, this is going to be a lot of information I'm going to throw at you in a short amount of time. Now, prefabs are essentially pre-built structures which have everything in them. It's just a massive building essentially. I have chosen the Nitrodome to show what the hell I'm talking about, and as you can see, the Nitrodome has been placed down with everything intact. Now what memory does is pretty much limit on how much we can place down. As you can see in the top of the screen, there's a yellow bar that increases every time I place down a prefab or a gallery or a device, which we'll get to in a bit. However, it works on a proximity scale, in the sense of if you place a lot of stuff in one area but then you go flying to another area, not as much memory will be used in the area with less building in it. What happens if your memory maxes out is that you physically can't place anything else down. Galleries essentially are what are the little bits and pieces that make up a prefab. So in a gallery you'll have the different props, you'll have the different walls, the stairs, the roofs, you'll have everything that was included in the prefab, but instead you can pick exactly which piece you need and what you want from it. Now devices is where the more complicated part of Fortnite Creative comes in, but it is still very much easy to learn if you know what you're doing. There's a lot of different devices to learn, but I will teach you two very basic ones today: the player spawn pad and the player checkpoint pad. Specifically the player spawn pad, it is going to be the most important device ever, not because there's a lot of knickknacks and stuff you need to learn, but because it's where you spawn. Now functions and events is a little bit complicated and messy at first, but when you get your head around it, it's very simple, and I'm going to teach you a little demonstration on how to use it. We're going to use the player spawn pad and the player checkpoint pad to connect each other through events and functions. The way we're going to do this is when the player spawns, when the game has started, pretty much as soon as I hit start game and loaded in, whenever I respawn or die or whatever, if I just respawn, I'm going to respawn at the player checkpoint pad no matter how far away it is from me. The way we're going to do this is it gives you a bit of option here. It says select device, so we're going to select player checkpoint pad, as that's the device we want to interact with, and function, the function we want to give it when the player spawns, is register. What this does is enables the device to be active and makes the player respawn at the checkpoint pad instead of the player spawn pad. Weapons and items, pretty simple. You select what you want, put in an item spawner or put in a chest or a llama, which I'll show you later how to do, even though you'll probably figure it out right now. And yeah, you just start doing what you want. Now you're going to learn about all of these buttons and what they do. So let's start off simple. Inventory. Inventory is basically up D-pad and it's your Fortnite Battle Royale inventory, nothing crazy. Island settings is something completely different that I will do a deep dive in the next video. Hold B to resize. Basically what this means is you can increase the height, the width or the depth of the object you have selected, but only applies for props. Collision hold, basically this just means of does it, when you're placing down the object, does it collide with the terrain around you or objects around you or anything? Does it collide? What does it collide with? Grid snap. Grid snap is basically allows you to get more precise placements with props. It's hard to explain, but it's very easy to understand when you start using it yourself. So I'd recommend you go and do that yourself. Press Y for drops on Xbox, because basically what drops do is it drops all the objects when you're placing them down. But if you turn it off, you just place the object where you place it and it stays there. Rotation axis and rotation reset, very useful reset is, because say if you get into a confusing mess when you're rotating the object, you can just reset it to the previous position that you selected it from. Rotation axis, you have pitch, yaw, and something else. I can't remember what the other thing is, but basically it has the three dimensions to rotate in, and it's really useful. You can rotate it however you want to rotate it. You can rotate it clockwise and anti-clockwise, which is what the two buttons above are, and you can push and you can pull the objects as well whilst you have them selected. This is the quick menu that you can access when you press on in settings, and basically I'll go through all of them. Phase, basically can you go through buildings or not when you're in edit mode. Invulnerability, just immune to stuff or not, depending if you want to turn it off or on. Flight speed, how fast you're going when you're flying. Editor camera, you can make it the normal Fortnite third person, or you can make it first person to not have a massive character in the way whilst editing. You can have drops on and off like normal. You have the collision, collide with copies, which is the same thing as collision with other stuff, but just with stuff you've copied. Grid snap, same thing. Building as prop, now this is really cool. It takes grid locked stuff that you can only place in tiles, and then turns it into a prop with all the prop properties, like you can resize it, you can rotate it. You can also have hold position, which is when you select the item. I'm pretty sure it's when you select the item, and where you select it from. If you select it as selected, you select the items as it's been selected. If you do from right or from left, you select it from the left or from the right when you're holding it. Pull to player, basically select the item and it pulls to you immediately if it's far away or if it's close, or whatever distance. Phone tool keybind basically just means, do you want to select to your phone fast or do you just like it slow. Cost preview just shows you how much memory a item will take up. Now that should have covered a lot of the bare basics of what you need to know, but if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below and I will try and respond as fast as possible.